Speaker Gingrich, thank you for being here tonight. Your plan for empowering local neighborhood boards to decide if certain illegal immigrants can stay in our country has been criticized on the ground that it could undermine the rule of law and encourage more illegal immigrants to come to our country. How do you respond to those claims?
Well, first of all, the Selective Service Board model that this was based on did not undermine the rule of law. It implemented the draft in World War II with great sensitivity, and it allowed local people, much like a jury trial, it allowed local citizens to render judgment about local people in what was seen as a very effective model. Second, I'm suggesting that this only apply to people who've been here a very long time, who have a real tie to the local community, and we're exploring the idea that they would actually have to have a family sponsoring them to be eligible for review. Now, to suggest that a model that only works after 20 or 25 years is going to be a magnet, I think is nonsense, particularly because in addition to controlling the border, which is part of my plan, we also have a provision for a guest worker program that would be legal and that would be implemented by American Express or Visa or MasterCard in terms of the cards, so you wouldn't have fraud, as you will in the federal government. And so if you're a brand new person looking to come to the U.S. for economic reasons, you'd have a legal point of entry, and there'd be no reason to believe anybody's going to be able to get across the border to stay here illegally for 20 or 25 years to someday around 2037 be eligible for review.
And of course the border is very, very important. But you spoke of jury trials, and as a former 20-year prosecutor, my concern is putting friends and neighbors in the position of judging their friends to determine if they can stay in this country.
That is what we do in a jury trial. That's the whole point. That's why the Founding Fathers, who distrusted judges, insisted on juries. Because ultimately, in a free society, the citizens have to bear responsibility for their own culture and their own society. And ultimately, I believe they are more trustworthy. If you ask me, would I trust a jury or a Washington bureaucrat? I would rather have my fate decided by a jury of my peers than have my fate decided by a Washington bureaucrat.
Congresswoman, thank you for being here. You have pledged to deport all 11 million illegal aliens. Homeland Security tells us that will cost $135 billion. Tell us first how you plan to pay for that and how you will execute that plan.
Well, first of all, I want people to know that there is a cost already to having illegal aliens in the United States. It costs us, the taxpayers, $113 billion every year, and $32 billion of that cost is absorbed by the states. And that actually works out to about $1,000 per American household. It's a very real cost. And I agree, this is the thorniest, most difficult issue in dealing with illegal immigration. What about deportation? I believe that we should uphold the laws of the land, which does include deportation. How do we pay for it? The American taxpayer will have to pay for it.
And what is your plan for executing it?
For executing that?
Yes,
well,
for carrying out the plan.
Okay, good question. It would be enforcement both at the border but also by the ICE agents. Right now, essentially, our ICE agents, those are the agents in the interior of the country who are tasked with enforcing the laws. They're not enforcing them. And we also have sanctuary cities now where they don't enforce the laws either on deportation. I think what we simply need to do is just start enforcing those laws, which we aren't doing, and then begin the process of deportation.
And as Attorney General of the state of Florida, my fear is that that money will get dumped on my state.
I don't blame you. And it must not, because if you look at Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, what Congress can do, a specific enumerated power is that the government needs to deal with securing with the border. That is the federal government's role. It's not the state's role. And so it's very important that it's the federal government that pays for this cost. That's been the burden. As I said, the cost every year is $113 billion, but the states are bearing $82 billion. The federal government needs to pay for the deportation costs.